For 3-1, day 2, we're going to focus on domain and range and kind of take it a little bit further. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a pattern when it's points. So remember, when you're doing points, you typically start from the left and then just work your way to the right. Okay, so I want least to greatest, so least to greatest on my x's are left to right. Okay, so my very first x value that I'm going to come across is at -4. Then my next one is at 1. My next one is, -1. The next one is at +1. And the last one is at a +4. So again, least to greatest, no repeats. So then for your y's, you start low and work your way high. So the first y value is at -1. The next one is at a +2. Next one is at a +4. And the last one's at a +6. Okay, so that's the process that you would go through if it's from a graph of just points. Just be careful and take your time. Most of the time, if anybody makes a mistake, they just accidentally take the y value instead of the x value, and that stuff happens, okay? So then we have another pattern, okay? And this pattern is coming from a relation that is infinite on both ends of the graph. Okay, so what's happening here is, if you're noticing, a line goes on forever, right? So I'm going to infinitely go to the left. I'm going to infinitely go to the right. I'm going to infinitely decrease. I'm going to infinitely increase, right? So essentially what's happening is you're going to have everything. Okay, so when you have everything, it's all reals. But how I want you to think about it is what we have over here in the purple and green. Okay, we want to think about it as, how far does it go left? So I was kind of saying that, if you notice, right, it goes to the left and it's going to keep going to the left. It's going to get there eventually, right? So it's going to go all the way to -infinity. And then as you go to the right, it's going to go all the way to +infinity, right? So my domain is negative to +infinity. Now, I'm okay with you putting all reals in set notation. That's fine. Right now, you're going to see a lot of interval notation for all these, though. Okay, so we know it's negative to positive, and the next one, how far down does the graph go? Well, it's going to keep going down forever, which is -infinity. And what about how high up? Well, it's going to keep going on forever, which is +infinity. So negative to +infinity. So our next one that you're going to see is where it might have a starting point on one side of the graph and then is infinite on the other side of the graph. And what we mean by that is not all things are accounted for. If you notice, obviously, nothing's going on this bottom half, right? So there's a stopping point for your y's. Your y's are missing that bottom part. Okay, but I still want you to approach it the same way. How far left does it go? Well, it's going to keep going left, right? So that's -infinity. Then how far right? Well, it's going to eventually keep going to the right. Like, it's going to take a long time, but it's just going to keep going and going and going. So that's +infinity. How far down does the graph go? So this is where I realized, okay, this is my stopping point, right? So it goes to 1. And from 1, it's going to go on forever up, which is infinity. So then we can write these as domain and range. So we have negative to +infinity. The next one is 1 to infinity. And hopefully we recognize that we need a bracket for 1, right? Because it touches 1. So 1 is included, which means that we need a bracket for it. I encourage you to try these ones out and just kind of give it a shot with domain and range here, and then watch the rest of this video. Okay, again, this box is huge. Okay, keep asking yourself, how far left, how far right for domain, how far down, how far up for range. So on this first one, the farthest left that we go is going to end up being over here, right? And if you focus on your x values, that would be at -5. Okay, now again, bracket, because it's included, it touches at -5, right? Then we think, how far right does it go? Well, it's going to keep going right forever, so infinity. Then we look at our range. Our lowest y value is right here at -3. Included again, obviously. And then how high up it goes. Now, a lot of students want to say that it's going to stop increasing, like they'll say 2, right? Because it kind of looks like it's going to stop here, right? But the problem is, just because this graph can't show you the rest of it doesn't mean that it's not going to continue to increase. So this is going to continue to increase to infinity. Okay, it's going to take a really long time, but it's going to get there. On the next one, this one's a little bit different, so you might have struggled here for a little, but hopefully we tried it out still. So for our domain, our farthest left is right here, right? So our farthest left is that x value, which is -2. And again, it's bracket because it's included. Then our farthest right is to here, which is at a +2, bracket for being included. For range, the lowest is going to be here, which is -1. And the highest is all the way up here at a +3. For our next one, very similar to this last one, right? Our farthest left is right here. Okay, but that is an open circle, which means we need a parenthesis. Our farthest right is right here at a +3. Again, open circle, so parenthesis. And then our y values. Our lowest y value is at -2, parenthesis because of the open circle. And our highest y value is all the way up there at a +4, parenthesis because it's not included. Okay, so these are the different types of relations that you're going to see. And we need to really just continue to ask ourselves this main question that's right here. Okay, how far left, how far right, or how far down, how far up we go.